Good evening. Welcome to today's edition of the daily bulletin of the ongoing farmers movement. My voice is still not as good as it should be, a little raspy. I hope I will come across clearly to you. Today, we want to discuss the outcome of the order of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court passed an order yesterday giving certain directions. I've already spoken about that order yesterday. Of course, when I spoke, the order still hadn't been uploaded on the website. So I'll take a few points from that order and share it with you, and then discuss about the outcome. Today, 13th of January, was also a pre-announced nationwide program for burning copies of the bill. I'm sorry, the act. I keep thinking that it's still a bill and the government has not acted foolishly by converting these bills into laws. But unfortunately, it has. So there was a nationwide program. I won't be able to share with you pictures from all across the country, but I will be able to show you a video and some photographs of the program that took place at Calcutta, where I am currently based. So, first, the Supreme Court order. In a sense, the Supreme Court said the following. 1. It has stayed the implementation of the three farm acts, which are at the epicenter of the farmers' protest. 2. It has formed a 4-member committee to which all parties, including farmers' organizations, have to compulsorily go and submit their position on these laws. And this committee is supposed to hear all sides, prepare its recommendations, and give it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also expressed a view in the last paragraph of the order that in view of the implementation of the three farm laws now being stayed, it hoped that the farmers would end their agitation and go back home. In the course of the hearing, the government of India constantly brought up the issue of the farmers having announced a Republic Day farmers parade at Delhi. The government of India is hell-bent and wants to stop it. The Supreme Court said that you file an affidavit seeking an order to stop the farmers and we will consider it. So this, in a sense, was the Supreme Court order. It's an 11-page order. There are many other observations in it. But what I just described is the core, the heart of the order. So let's see how this order will be implemented. Remember, the farmers' protest is for two primary demands. 1, repeal these three farm laws that you say you have enacted for our welfare. I'll be sipping some hot tea while I speak to you. That perhaps will help my voice. So, farmers' organizations, including my organization, wants repeal of these three laws. And we want a law to be enacted to guarantee that farmers get MSP, that the central government announces religiously twice a year. So these were the two asks primarily. Those who are protesting at the borders of Delhi for 50 days now were coming to Delhi to make these demands. They were stopped at the borders of Delhi by the Delhi police. They were not coming to stay at the borders, remember. They were coming to the designated protest sites in Delhi depending on the number of people who assemble for protests, which is a constitutional right of every Indian. It could be Jantar Mantar if the numbers are low, and if the numbers are high, it could be Boat Club. Ram Leela Maidan is not a designated protest site because it belongs to the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and they charge 50,000 rupees a day if you want to use it. I mean, I don't know if protest organizations can afford it, but farmers' organizations who are arranging an indefinite protest certainly can't afford 50,000 rupees a day. So it's not a designated protest site. I want to make this clear. It is a ground, a public ground, which is available on hire, and protests do take place there. But a designated protest ground for citizens means a place where protests can be held without paying any authority any charges for it. So, now the Supreme Court has given these orders, which stays the implementation of the laws, and quite naturally, the farmers' organizations are not happy. They were not protesting for stay of implementation of the laws. Perhaps if the government of India, which has made the laws, offered this as an interim solution, while the farmers were discussing and negotiating with the government, it may have been considered, and that's a big may. But the Supreme Court giving a direction that these laws, implementation only, the laws have not been stayed. There's an important legal difference, but I don't want to take you there today. The implementation of these laws has been stayed by the Supreme Court, and in the last paragraph of its order, the Supreme Court expresses a view that now possibly what the farmers were wanting has been given by the Supreme Court, so kind of it, and therefore they should end the protest and go back. With respect that is due to a court of law, I say that the farmers were not in any negotiation with the Supreme Court. The farmers had not approached the Supreme Court for any relief. The farmers were quite happy negotiating with the government and protesting against the government. Some people, not farmers, moved the Supreme Court seeking relief against the farmers. And remember, these orders have been passed on those petitions filed by those who were against the farmers' movement. So relief from the Supreme Court by way of stay of operation or implementation of the laws is much less than the farmers' demand of repeal of the laws, and hence, since the farmers especially did not go to the court seeking this relief, this means nothing to the farmers, and therefore they are not considering this as any relief at all. Now come to the committee. Let us get into a hypothetical situation where the farmers agree that because these laws have been, implementation of these laws have been stayed, the farmers will now appear before a committee and air their grievances, and that committee will give its recommendations to the Supreme Court, and presumably the Supreme Court will decide something based on those recommendations. This committee ought then to have credibility and trustworthiness in the eyes of both parties, the government and the farmers. However, the Supreme Court, day before yesterday, mentioned several names, previous Chief Justices, so on and so forth. But yesterday, when the order was passed, it named a committee of 4 people, all 4 of whom have publicly mentioned, placed on record, that they are against the repeal of these laws. So the Supreme Court has formed a committee of 4 people who do not want these laws to be repealed and wants the farmers to go to this committee to explain to this committee why these laws should be repealed. Does it make sense? Is it an implementable order? Is it an order that the farmers' organizations should adhere to? I don't think they should. Of course, there can be a difference of opinion on this, but the Supreme Court, if it really wanted to be neutral to the farmers and the government, ought to have formed a committee which has members that are credible. A caveat, a caution. I am not saying that even if such committee had been formed, the farmers would have gone to it. And let me explain why. It's not that the farmers would not have gone to the committee because they are being adamant. This story is going around that the farmers are arrogant and adamant, and therefore, they need to be taught a lesson perhaps. The fact is, this Supreme Court appointed committee consists of 4 civilians, 4 people who have no constitutional authority, no administrative authority. The government of India, represented through the Prime Minister, his cabinet, and the Agriculture and Food Supply Minister in that cabinet, were negotiating with the farmers prior to this. When that committee, that government committee, representing elected people, elected leaders of the people, could not settle the issues with the farmers, can this committee of 4 ordinary civilians do so? Will these 4 people have greater authority under the constitution or the law, or even in the eyes of the public, than the Prime Minister of the country? Will the Prime Minister of the country accept a recommendation from 4 people against what he has been shouting from the rooftops? So everybody understands that this is an effort by the Supreme Court to kill the farmers' movement through a committee. Someone used this beautiful expression, death by committee. And the Supreme Court gave away its hand in the last paragraph, when it said that now that we have stayed implementation, now that we have formed a committee, no matter that committee is completely against the position of the farmers, you may consider ending your protest and going back home. So that was the main reason for the Supreme Court order. And the Supreme Court believes that the 2 quote-unquote sops given to the farmers is sufficient for them to end their protest. The answer, sadly, is that the farmers are not ready to give up the protest. The farmers will not go to that committee. The farmers will not be happy with stay of implementation of the acts. The farmers want repeal, and the farmers want to discuss repeal with the government of India, the Prime Minister of India, and his designated ministers. So the Supreme Court order is virtually an unimplementable order. It's an effort made to see if somehow the farmers can be made to give up their protest. And this protest, I remind everyone, is for today's livelihood of farmers and tomorrow's future. Farmers are not battling the government on whims. The farmers are fighting for what they believe is their right to live in the Republic of India with dignity, with income, sufficient so that they can hold their heads up high. And the Supreme Court, in my opinion, ought not to have waded into this policy law related issue. The only thing the Supreme Court could have and should have done was decide about the constitutional validity of these laws. Now, the Supreme Court is a little slow in deciding on validity of laws made by this government. Perhaps it has a very heavy docket. But in many other cases, we have seen the Supreme Court act with great alacrity, and that raises eyebrows. It will be my humble submission that the Supreme Court should reverse and revise its order and not create a situation where the farmers are compelled not to obey the Supreme Court order, leading to a greater crisis of credibility for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also has the option of holding 70 crore farmers of India in contempt and perhaps jailing them. I don't know if the capacity of the jails in India is sufficient for that. So this order by the Supreme Court is not an order that can be implemented, and that is the main problem. The government got great relief from this order, and the government wants to celebrate that relief and wants to denigrate the farmers if they do not obey the Supreme Court order. I can see the writing on the wall. These farmers are so arrogant, are so stupid, that not only do they understand the beautiful picture that the Prime Minister is painting for them, for their future, they do not even want to obey the Supreme Court of India. In a movement like the farmers' movement that is happening now, I think the constitutional authorities should be careful when reading the public mood. If they cannot gauge the public mood by mere authority derived from the Constitution, they will not be able to go against the flow of what people want. And the farmers have made it very clear what they want. Now, let's come to today's programs. As I said, we had burning copies of the farm laws all over India, and I'm sharing with you some photos from Kolkata, West Bengal. Can we have those photos, please? There. No, just hold it. Don't rush through it. There. So more than 21 farmers' organizations and 43 civil society organizations got together and burnt the effigy of the farm laws, the Prime Minister, and the 20 BJP MPs from Bengal who have gone to Parliament and voted in favor of these farm laws. Farmers of Bengal have burned their effigy and expressed unhappiness with their action. These are not human beings that are being burnt. What is being burnt is the negativity, the attitude of these members of Parliament who do not care for those who have voted for them. So their principles are being burnt. Their actions are on fire. Next picture, please. That's a close-up. Yes, that's a raging fire. Bills are being burnt. Effigies are being burnt. Farmers, workers, students, youth, civil society organization, all gathered together in this grand bonfire of the farm laws of Mr. Narendra Modi. This was the procession which led to the spot where the bills were burnt. I will now share with you a video, some videos.
কৃষি আইন প্রত্যাহার করতে হবে, অবিলম্বে কৃষি আইন প্রত্যাহার করতে হবে, দেশ বিরোধী কৃষি আইন চালিয়ে দাও, পুড়িয়ে দাও, দেশ বিরোধী কৃষি আইন চালিয়ে দাও, পুড়িয়ে দাও, ইনকিলাব জিন্দাবাদ।
So those were 3 videos from today's program of burning farm laws. An organization, a civil society organization in Calcutta, the Netaji Subhas Bhagat Singh organization, has been providing food and tea to all the protesters at Kolkata's Dharna Manch, which is called Anna Datao Ke Saath Bangla, Bengal with the farmers. That organization has been providing food to all of us as we sit in Dharna, and I wanted to share the last 2 photographs from what they have been doing. They've been doing a wonderful job. All of us don't go hungry sitting at Dharna whole day because they are doing this for us. They are running a langar for us. And there, all of us in queue for that langar. That will be all for today. I will be back with you tomorrow. Today the timing changed, but I hope tomorrow I'll be back with you at 4 p.m. with more information about the ongoing farmers' protests at Delhi and elsewhere in India. Thank you for being with me and watching this. See you tomorrow.